Oh, hey, collective. Welcome to Ignite Your Soul, Merging Two Worlds. So, my intention is always to let go of expectations and just flow with my higher self, with my best version of me now. Um, I labeled this healing from past perceptions to gain a new perspective because that was how it happened for me. Most importantly, we have to let go of past experiences, okay? Past experiences to be able to accept where we are currently. And this is around relationships. And personally, I believe we have a relationship with everything, people, places, things. Um, we have a relationship with specific ideas that are inspired to us, right? We either take the action forward to um, like build a business, use these ideas as a way to release any energies and fear or just switch the perspective and perception of our own inner dialogue current, right? So I wanted to make this video on my Facebook uh, group, How to Master Thyself, right? Well, long story short, um, I trusted someone, and yeah, I screwed up. I'm gonna admit it. I screwed up. I trusted someone because I was not naive, but I did not know how that things work as far as getting followers when you first grow your group and stuff like that. So I trusted someone. I started paying them to get me followers and whatnot and the other thing. And when I stopped doing it because I felt like I had enough, I had 2.4K plus followers, and then I knew how to do it, so I learned the thing. But they were technically smarter than I, and I was deceived. Okay. No matter how intuitive you are or smart you think you are, um, there was a new perspective that I needed to learn even around that situation. So my Facebook group was locked out. Well, I personally locked it out because um, I couldn't get in. I couldn't use my password to get into my Facebook. So I'm going to start doing it here on YouTube until I grow my um, monetization, I want to say, to be able to do lives on my cell phone. So I can't do any lives on my cell phone. I'm using my laptop today. And this is around relationships, healing from past perceptions to gain a new perspective. So, what do I mean by that? Um, Personally, I'm speaking to you and at you. Okay. I already been through this. This is why I have the authority and the power and the know how to come in and do live videos. These are everything that I come here with has been a personal experience. And I want to talk about toxic relationships and how they are created and where they're created from when we're speaking about our parts of our mind and our memory bank. Um, so subconsciously, we are like sponges when we're born. Okay, we're born into a family of um, I'm gonna just say it, illusions, because not no one is to blame either, because when you're that young and our parents or whoever raises us wants the damn best for us, right? They do their best with what they know, what worked, moving forward, raising kids, you know. But here's the thing: it was always to control, not to allow the child to fall on their face and get back up naturally, right? So what I learned personally is with my own children, um, because looking back subconsciously, I unlocked my subconscious inner child wounding. Okay, so I know what triggered me and how I could change my current relationships, whether it was with family, friends, your lover, whatever, or even the relationship with myself, right? Your parents or whatever. You can put it where it fits, but realize that I want this to be clear that no one is at fault because it was just a lack of the knowledge or the know-how to do or create from an open heart, right? So when I unlocked my subconscious mind, everything started to come to the surface that I was in a loop, in a pattern of how I relate in relationships with a person, like in love, right? And even in marriage, right? So what I did was I took it above and beyond. Um, and I wanted to face it. I learned that the only way out was to go through it and to learn from the past of how I created in my relationships because we're the creator. We're an extension of the source that created us. All right. And I didn't always know that. I did not always come from a spiritual perspective or be able to perceive it from that because I too grew up in, um, well, I can't really say a religion because um, I was around it, okay, and I got to decide and discern, what it felt like. I wanted to take it on, but there was this control issue through my parent, mainly my father, not allowing me to join the Catholic, right? Because I learned that from my Aunt Ruth. Um, it just resonated, you know, the Blessed Mother, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, God, everything, but not being able to. It didn't really, I wouldn't say that really affected my life because I learned about all religions just coming at it from a spiritual perspective, right? So we're just having a mental shift right now. That's what's happening. Um, so here's what I decided to do. I wanted to share a certain collective with a certain collective of women. All right. If you see this video, it is perfect time for you because divine time is your time. So when you come across it, it's for you. But with a certain collective of women that have experienced toxic relationships. And what you don't know and what you will learn, what you don't know is you have been creating and attracting in um, toxic relationships because you also became toxic at one point of a learned behavior, a habitual way of thinking that, like, maybe you can only attract money one way, you can only love one way, there's only one way, all right? Whatever it is, put it where it fits. Um, Maybe you only know to heal one way, and that is prescription drugs. Well, that's not true. None of it's true. And that's what I learned by my personal journey and experience. I became a mystic of the self. So that's what I did. All right. But that's what collective woman or women, okay, that I'm speaking to um, as an advocate of someone that has experienced this. So the importance here is that if you are still in the loop and you're still attracting the same kind of person that's toxic, like say um, they project their own unhealed stuff onto you, or let me just breathe. um, so if it's not a projection, and I know there's this big thing out there about narcissistic tendencies in a relationship, which I feel like everybody has a sense or at one point in their life can become a narcissistic person, um, whatever way that is for you that you experienced it. For me, it was even the parent, okay, because they were not feeling safe in within their self, maybe unsafe feeling like they were doing their best job as a parent, you know, projected that onto myself. And so I had to play that role. I played that role out with my children. And and what I did was when I finally realized and accepted that I was doing my best at the level of know-how and knowledge to be this kind of parent or be a parent at all was, I know this is a relationship too. Okay. You have a relationship with your children or you don't. So what I'm trying to say is, for an example, because that was projected onto me, I took it on as my own belief. Like, yeah, this is the only way. This is how I parent. Well, as soon as I became aware of the way I was parenting, I wasn't I wasn't fully aware yet, but when I became just a little bit aware that, I could do better, I could do a better job than what I was shown, I decided, I made that decision to retrain my brain and balance myself out emotionally. So I became emotionally intelligent, and that I would respond and react to certain circumstances or situations. When it came to my children, I guess Spirit wants me to talk about children instead of the love thing, but that is love, right? That's still um, abundance of love, right? It doesn't have to always be a love relationship. We have a relationship with our children or we don't. And the reason I found out we don't is because I didn't believe, more or less, that I was being the best that I could be. And I thought that I knew I could do better. I just didn't know how to do better. So I would ask the universe questions. God, universe, all that is. I'm like, how can I be um, a better parent, right? How do I want to really parent my children on an emotional intelligence level instead of the toxic way of communicating to my children? Um, because I wasn't validated, my voice didn't matter. I made that decision to validate my children and to make sure that they know that they matter. Their opinion matters, their voice matters, their feelings matter. Okay, all of that I changed. And it didn't happen overnight by no means. So most women, they will attract someone um, toxic, right? And we need this, okay? We need this to grow and expand mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually speaking. Yes, you're going to hear a lot of stuff about spirituality, but I'm very logical. Um, Not always, but I'm more connected to my spiritual side of myself now. I'm still connected to the logical side, but that took a while. That took a little bit to understand for me. Um, but now that I understand it, I have the authority and the power I get to use to think on purpose, speak with purpose, love with purpose, and react and respond with a purpose, right? So it's just all purposeful when you're coming from a spiritual perspective and when you're coming from the logical perspective as well. Because I wasn't always this logical. I would always take life so seriously. And that's what I was taught. And I want my children to know not to take life so seriously, because you only have one. All right. I want them to live their life the way they want to live it. And first and foremost, the spiritual part of my children's lives are divinely guided, right? Just like I was, but not until I came fully aware that I was being divinely guided by my own higher self, and able to learn and grow, not only in the human experience, but as the soul. So a lot of people just see it as the 3D self. I see it as both, right? But however, I allow myself to be guided by my spiritual side, so I can always be able to review. Like if I step back into the old self, right, which is nothing wrong with the old self, I wasn't broken. I just needed to tweak a few things to be a better parent, to be a better lover, to be a better teacher, even, right? To be able to speak up and let it be allowed to be my truth. Um, and that's what I wanted for my children. So I get to step back and be, you know, not saying I don't have a little bit of fear sometimes that comes up, if we're going to be honest, because, but I know I got through it. And I'm witnessing and seeing my own children go through the toxic relationships, the toxic ways of being, thinking, feeling, or responding to the world with fear. And I get to watch that and give that all over to my higher self, my source God. Um, Most importantly, that I learned is I'm not alone. I've never been alone. Um, there's other aspects of me that I was ashamed of or I guilted. And once I accepted, you know, that's not my identity anymore, it was able to change. It was able for God to say, okay, she's serious. She really wants to live her life. She does, because if you're not living, you're dying. You're living in the past. You're not allowing new love to come in because of the old hurts and pains and the toxicity. Yes, it happened. That's the logical part of it. And yes, you have witnessed a lot. But what you're not understanding, or maybe you don't know, is that you're subconsciously attracting in the same type of person in relationship due to unhealed inner child wounding. So that's where we start, where we want to master ourselves. We ask our little self, our inner child, would we tolerate or entertain this kind of behavior? Remember, we're just reviewing it. We're not reliving it. So we can get through it and say, you know what, I'm done with that kind of type of behavior or reaction from a person. I feel like I'm being traumatized in this relationship when I know I'm in here, I'm diving deep. I'm deeper and deeper, but yet I'm still being projected on. Okay. This turns out to be the other person's problem, and you got to be the one that is fully committed to changing that inner dialogue, that thought process, that you believe that you're broken or you are the one that's causing all the chaos or all the drama, right? You could be, if you're unhealed in one area or more in your life. Just review it. Where did I first learn this behavior, of responding to my children? Or, I learned that, and I do this with my grandkids, I am emotionally intelligent. I will allow them to feel what they're feeling and then explain to them that it's okay to feel that way. But it's also okay, however, to shift and um, allow themselves to accept it, differently on a spiritual level, as well as making sure they're logically understanding that it's not their fault, that they're innocent, that, um, If someone is hurting them, meaning any child, um, remember when you felt it, right? Remember what you felt. You sure as hell don't want to give to somebody else to feel the same kind of pain or suffering of some type. So I strongly believe in, if I don't want it done to me, I wouldn't do it to somebody else. So I teach my grandkids that. I teach them how to embrace all of life in both forms, right? And not identify themselves as, well, this is how it has to be. This is how I treat people because that's all I know. So children are our future. My children, children's children, you know, the kids that I will never be around to witness change, be able to think for themselves. And like I do, I just started to become more aware of, this don't feel right. This don't feel good. It feels comfortable. Yes, it's comfortable, but do I want to stay in just comfortable? Because out here it feels better than being comfortable, right? So I just allowed myself to shift the inner dialogue to say that I am good enough. I am worthy of receiving love, not just giving it. Because I was really a giver of love. I would give and give and give until I was freaking depleted. And I didn't know how to fill up my own cup. Um, there's more reasons in my own personal story. And the reason I am talking at you, and this is for you, is if you resonate, check back in. Just check back in with your own inner child and say, would I tolerate, why do I stay in this kind of relationship? Is it just because I'm comfortable, or it's all I know? Because you can change it. Change your thoughts, change your life. But the emotional intelligence is developed by going within ourselves and saying, I had enough. I say yes to myself before I'll lose myself again in another toxic person, right? It's not to judge that person, because we don't know their life. We don't know their story. Or if you do know their story, why are you there in the first place? I mean, you can't unsee what you saw. You can't unknow what you already know. So allow yourself to unlock that subconscious blockage from having your dream partner, from experiencing your highest timeline. And when I say your highest timeline, that's how we shift. Our timeline is what we see right now outside of ourselves, but it ain't always what you see. It is, pay attention to the actions, right? What are your actions or reactions towards your person, your children, and understand from the spiritual perspective that they're doing exactly what is aligned for them to do, and react back, because that's still something inside you to look at. If it ain't, and you know better, then ask yourself more questions. It is a lie that we cannot ask source or question God. And it's not questioning God, like, why do you do this to me? It's not the mortar kind of question. It is, why is this happening to me right now? How can I further and understand it from not just my human perception, right? We're shifting the perspective or perception to learn a new perspective in all of our relationships, and in how we parent, in how we love, in how we allow love in, or we allow love not in. How we put up barriers because of the past pain or the past trauma, because it was comfortable. So we want it uncomfortable, right? We want to get so uncomfortable that it makes you fucking sick and you had enough. You have to literally have enough of the pain and suffering in a relationship with whatever that relationship is for you. I didn't even read my notes, but so invite your inner child, ask questions. Would I have tolerated this? Or would I? Would my inner child really want this for me? This kind of interaction, the way this person is toxic in one way or another. And if you come back with a no, then you want to keep going deeper. All right, well, what is the next obvious step for me? What's available for me to step outside of this and create a new life, right? Create a new way of thinking, feeling, with emotional intelligence moving forward. Not with revenge. Okay, a lot of people just want to seek revenge on the person. They broke their heart. I get it. It freaking hurts. But you know what God says is turn the other cheek and let me deal with it. Right? The karma just keeps coming back and forth. The past lives you might understand if you have asked, if you have already done this kind of work and you are asking God, show me, is this from a past life, and how can I change it and make it better in this current lifetime? What do I need to heal? What do I need to still let go of? What do I need to understand moving forward? Them are the questions you get to ask God. Not be a martyr, not be a victim anymore. Know that you've already won when you start asking these questions, or you start becoming more aware. If you're already aware and you just don't know the information or you don't know how to move forward, ask and listen. Listen to how you feel with a person, place, a thing, right? I'm not going to get into the energy, although it is very, very important to know that when you have this emotional intelligence, what you all do, it's just either you're not aware of it or how to do it, how to become more balanced within yourself, meaning self-love, self-care, self-presence, right? Self-awareness, self. And I don't care what anybody says, you are allowed to be selfish for a time being, right? I'm being selfish as long as it takes to put me first, to know me, to love me, and to be able to be me anywhere I am, to know that I belong, that I'm not somewhere out here not belonging. I belong. If I am incarnated, I freaking belong. I have a purpose. I have a mission, right? So I'm going to leave it there, collective. Just ask questions. Don't be afraid to them. But in little self, right, that already knows subconsciously. And these can be so traumatizing. They're unconscious, and we bring them up consciously. We choose to consciously bring up unconscious stuff to let it go and clear it out. And once we clear out that stuff, we have room for new. But not until then. You have to do the work. No one else can do it for you. No one else knows your story, your experience, right? So trauma bond splitting is the number one thing that we want to do. Okay, so I love you all, collective. I hope you like, share, and subscribe this video. I hope it gives you something to take with you into your current situation or relationship. Okay, bye for now.